Jace Denman with Flag Family Media. I'm here with MSUM Dragon head coach Steve Laqua. Coach, a big win last week. You were able to kind of separate yourself from that kind of, second half of the conference per se. And against a very good Winona State team, you suffered a little adversity. So what do you take away from that game last week?
Yeah, we maybe more than a little adversity there. We had a tough stretch in a small amount of time, but it swung on us quickly from 3-score game down to a 3-point game. And I think our guys did a really good job of handling that adversity, not panicking, and then making plays. I think offense, we got to stop defensively. Offense took a long drive that took up a lot of the fourth quarter, 8-minute drive. Didn't come away with points, but we came away burning the clock, and then the defense went right out there and got the 4-play stop, and offense were able to get that last first down and kneel on it at the end of the game, which is what you're always trying to do, end the game with a kneel. And so I think guys were forced to make plays. Offense, defense, special teams were forced to make plays, and we did, and so that was encouraging.
Yeah, when we talk about that fourth quarter and that 8-minute drive, I know that when James and I were calling that game, it was one of those situations where I think I literally said on the air, you don't need to necessarily have a score, but you need to chew up some time. And this has been such a explosive offense this season. So how nice was it to see you put together a drive? Like you said, you didn't get points, but to be able to chew up that much clock in the fourth quarter.
Well, that part was good. We had some injuries, and we were playing through some of that, trying to keep the wheels on for the end of the game. And so obviously burning the clock was important. Now, if we didn't burn clock and we would have scored a touchdown, that probably would have been better. But hey, we'll take what we can get. And that was a good outcome for us. Obviously, the defense getting the stop was huge because we didn't leave them in great field position after the turnover that ended that drive. But more times than not, we like what we're doing offensively. We just have to do a better job of finishing the drive.
When you look at that defense, especially how they performed for 90% of that game. Obviously, a team like Winona, they're eventually going to break through and get in the end zone, but they kind of put you really on your heels with that turnover on that kickoff, but you're able to rebound, especially in that fourth quarter defensively. I thought you guys looked great in the fourth quarter, didn't allow them to do anything of significance. But you also look at the stats, and you look at the rushing yards you guys gave up. This is a team that came in, they had 300 yards against Sioux Falls. You guys only let them have 100, forced them into passing situation. So, talk a little bit about that defense, the defensive coaching staff, and the game plan they put together last week.
I thought the defense was phenomenal. I'd say arguably the best defensive game of the year for us. Certainly answered the bell at halftime. Honestly, if it weren't for a handful of third downs that were really tough plays that they converted, we were playing extraordinary great defense. Then we put it together and been able to do it. I think Coach Currier and the entire defensive staff has done a fabulous job of finding the strengths of our players, playing to their strengths, understanding what we can do well, what we can't do, and avoiding those things, and then understanding where our weaknesses are, of just how do we cover those up, or how do we change it up enough that our weakness doesn't show up in the same spot. We can kind of move that around. And so I think I couldn't say enough about the work those guys are doing, and I'm really excited that the players went out, they executed the game plan, they bought into the game plan, they've done it every single week, and this time it kind of everything was clicking for them, and hopefully we can keep doing that the next 2 weeks.
Absolutely. As we get to the end of the season, the battle for the Axe this weekend, I wanted to touch on a little bit with you. We talked to Finn Ridgway last week when we did our player interviews, and obviously kind of him being one of our focal players, player of the game previously for us, got out there, was playing really, really well. So not just talking about him, but the new rule for Division II, getting 3 games and being able to use those kind of sporadically through some different players. Your thoughts as a coach on that 3-game? Obviously, Division I is 4 games. What do you think of this new rule with getting 3 games in and not affecting your redshirt status?
Well, I think it's been good, in situation for him, for Jack Johnson, some other guys that have been able to play their 3 games, contribute. Derek Tibbetts was in the game the last 3 weeks playing, contributing on special teams. I think it's been great. Finn had probably a bigger role offensively than some of those other guys maybe on defense, but you get a chance for them to be in the game, see what it's like, see what it takes, but yet they're still going to have 4 more years. And so, Finn, it was probably a little bit of a tough decision. If he's playing super well, do we try and keep rolling with him? Do we cut him off at 3? He's actually a quarterback on the roster that, when we had some injuries back a couple weeks ago, we asked him to learn running back, and hey, we might need something here, and we did a little bit, and he did a good job, and so we kind of kept rolling with that. And so I like the the rule change. It is a little bit difficult to try and mix and match. You're like, oh, you're in 3, you're out 3. Who's next to come in 3? And it's not just just plug them in there. You've got to kind of have a plan that builds them up into it. And so we've had plans with guys where they're kind of up with the travel roster for 2-3 weeks before they get their chance to see the field. And so it takes a little bit of planning. And then if there's opportunity, they get the chance. And so I think it's been a good thing. I'm glad we have it.
Speaking of other kind of new players, I know that at least it's been announced to us as far as a verbal commitment from Max Watson, a kicker from Fargo North. There's been a couple other players that have been added to the roster, or at least committed to this program going forward. Give us a little insight, in a sense, on the process of recruiting. I mean, I know that we hear about it. We hear about the big-time schools going out and sitting in your living room, et cetera, like that. Obviously, these players have on-campus visits and stuff. So what is it like trying to recruit a player to come play for MSUM and become part of the Dragon family? Because not only are you recruiting a player, you've got to kind of get the family, the parents to buy in, because obviously you're taking a role in that young person's life and kind of helping mold them into the man that they're going to become. So talk to our audience a little bit about what it's like to go on the recruiting trail. Yeah,
I certainly can't comment on any specific people or players that we have recruited or whatever, but the process in general is really important, because it's really trying to find the right fit. And so when we go through the process, it's a 13-month process. We start it back in January, and we start watching junior highlight films. We have juniors on campus in March, April, May, all the way through. Then they become seniors, and we recruit them. And so I think the biggest thing for us is trying to tell the story of who we are. This is what it's like if you're going to be a Dragon football player and be part of the program. And this is, you're going to practice early in the morning. You're going to go to the weight room. You're going to be in study table. You're going to be pushed. You're going to have teammates that are going to treat you like family and hold you accountable, but also be there when life gets tough and pick you up and lift you up. And those are things that we talk about in our program. We try and talk about the same things with the recruits as we talk about our players. The messages in our locker room are the same messages that we're talking to recruits about, because we want there to be a consistency in what message they have in recruiting, the experience they have in recruiting, the relationship they have in recruiting. That's going to be the same thing when they get here. And so we just try and make it very clear. Here's who we are. Here's how we do business. Here's where we think you fit in, and we'd love for you to be a part of it. And if that's not what you're about, then you need to find a different place, because there's enough people that want what we have, and what we have, I think, is really special. And so it's just trying to find those people that want to be part of something bigger than themselves.
And it has been a special year with multiple records being broken by quarterback Jack Strand and this offense. So when you talk about that message to the players, to the recruits, et cetera, what's the message to the team this week as you go up and take on a very good Bemidji State team?
Well, it's like it's kind of been, this is another step. It's another group that's in that top pack. And so if you want to be in that pack, you have to earn your way into that pack. They're nationally ranked. They've beaten us pretty bad the last few times that we've played. And so it's time for us to be able to take what we've learned all season. We've played a lot of good teams. We've played a lot of good football. We got to put it together and play 4 great quarters, offense, defense, and special teams, because if we're not going to put it all together, we're probably not going to have a shot on the road.
What's the biggest challenge that this Beaver team presents the Dragons this weekend?
Well, our quarterback is a phenomenal player. He's an offensive player of the year. So it seems like forever. And if he hasn't won it every year in the last 2-3 years, he probably should have. He can throw the ball to any place on the field. It gets out quickly, makes big plays. He elevates their entire program. And obviously they have a lot of other pieces that go with him offensively, but he's the guy that pulls the triggers and makes things go. And so we got to find a way to try at least contain him. And then their defense has been phenomenal. They've got great coaches on the staff. Their D coordinator, the head coach are heavily involved with the defense, and it's tough finding to get a rhythm, trying to get some yards. They don't give you anything easy, and they're going to be physical, and so it's going to be kind of the epitome of the challenges that we faced all year. And so that's kind of how you want it, I guess, down the stretch. You got to be at your best. Hopefully we've learned and gotten better through the year and can play a good game.
Awesome. Well, Coach, thank you for your time. Best of luck on your last road game of the season. And we will look forward to, obviously, another conversation next week. So we'll be up there covering your game just as always.
That sounds good. Thanks.
All right. I'm Jace Denman for Flag Media. Talk to you later.